how do you get good at something? How do you learn a skill? Books and the way you do it in at school or university, where you use books and you study. Okay, that is one way. So when you can, that is one approach which works. I mean, I definitely have learned things. I've taught myself things using books, but then a lot of times, you'll find, as weird as it might seem, that not everything is written in books. Like some skills, I don't know, like some things, it's like nobody ever bothers to write about certain skills. And especially like at a workplace, let's say, maybe you're working a new job or you're picking up a new skill. And sometimes, it's just kind of, you learn by doing it, because things change so much that there's no book that you could ever read about it. And or in other cases, it could be that you're doing something that nobody's ever done before, right? So think about, like, there are, I mean, that seems weird, but a lot of, I mean, isn't that the path of the inventor, right? You don't, they're walking, sometimes you're doing something that's never been done before, or that, so you have to, so then how do you learn the skill then, right? How do you pick up, how do you learn, how do you teach yourself something? And so in a way, you have to build something in your mind, and you can use, obviously, the help of pen and paper or computers in this case, where you're writing things down, and the way I look at it is, you do something, and you keep, and you first, it's always random. Like, I feel like at the beginning there's always a level of uncertainty. You're kind of trying out different things, trying to get the feel for what it is that you're doing. Okay, you're trying to, you're feeling your way and trying to find kind of the shape. Or if you want an analogy, like maybe you're in a sandbox and you're trying to find the nuggets. Maybe they're hidden inside this big sandbox, and there's sand everywhere, and you have to kind of dig and find where the pieces are. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Or another way is, maybe you're looking for a structure. Maybe you can't see, right? And you're trying to figure out what an elephant looks like, right? Like, let's say you were blindfolded, right? And you couldn't see, right? But you had to figure out what the shape of an elephant is, right? So you'd have to feel for the tusk, and the tusks, and the elephant ear and all that, and then the big, right? And you would notice that the elephant is shaped in a distinct way. And so whatever, that's kind of an analogy for when you are doing something that's never been done before. Or so first you have to kind of create that structure. Try to find the structure of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes what's very interesting is that there is no set structure. Sometimes you have to design the structure yourself. And in those cases, that's an example of where you are writing the book. You're essentially you're creating. And so you have to figure out, okay, well, what's the best way to structure this, right? What's the best way to create what it is, whatever it is that you're creating? So what you do is you use experimentation, but then you also have to combine. So you're creating, but then at the same time, you're trying to make sure that it does what it is that you're trying to do. So now at the beginning, it's going to be very inefficient. It's always very slow, right? So how do you learn? How do you teach yourself? So how do you, and the way at the beginning, it's always a slow process, but then eventually you'll start seeing what direction you want to go in. And then they will both sort of be like a feedback towards each other, a feedback loop. So the design of what you're doing is going to be influenced by what you're trying to do, and then what you're trying to do is going to influence the design. And then so it's a slow process of, okay, we're going into this direction, so let me change the structure to match that. And then back and forth. And so over time, what should start happening is you will have in your mind, and you will have created something, and all of a sudden that's when you can start testing it out and practicing whatever it is that you're doing. So then you can start learning the skill, then you can start teaching. And this could be anything. You can fill this in with anything that you're trying to get better at. Once you do that, okay, once you have the structure, So then how do you learn it? And then that's the next step. So the good thing is that now you kind of have an idea of what you want to do. So then the next thing is you're going to start practicing it. Okay, so you're going to start going through drills, and really it's kind of like you're giving yourself kind of like homework in college or something, where you're giving yourself assignments that are designed to help you become better and to help you to understand whatever it is that you're doing. So, and this is where you need to design your own course for yourself. And once that happens, then that helps, because then the next step will be kind of the refinement step. And the refinement step is basically, the refinement step is when you look back at what you did, and as time goes on, you're going to get a better understanding and make corrections for whatever it is that you're doing. And so this doesn't have to be, and by the way, this doesn't have to be like an invention of your own. This could be anything that you're trying to do, anything that's already established as well. So your understanding will get better the more you do it. And at the beginning, your understanding will always be a little flawed. It's almost always going to be wrong, because it's not, because your mind doesn't know how it works. And so it's normal that there's a level of humility that you need when you're approaching something. So then the way you learn anything is you can learn it through books, as we mentioned, or you can learn it by creating the system yourself and then practicing, creating the system and then trying to build it out and then practicing it once you've set a direction for yourself. And then really, eventually you build up a skill and you become somewhat good at it. You become good at it.